Action.
Okay, guys, not like we have seen already enough stuff today. Cancers. Now we have Waldenström macroglobulinemia. Now, who likes cancer here? I don't think anybody
I
does.
love cancer. I eat it every day.
Oh my God.
Now, this is one of those cancers, and cancer. First, I'd like to talk with what is cancer. What really cancer is? Cancer. Regular cells, basically, they regenerate, they restore, they grow, they do all kinds of things. But the cancer cells, at the end of their life cycle, they don't just die. They regenerate and take bigger place. That way they danger the other cells in the body. That's how they defect the body. Now, the hypothesis of these, the research is, it is Waldenström's macroglobulinemia, an immune system cancer, could be diagnosed by fractioning the protein, which is antibodies, in urine with serum protein electrophoresis and immunoelectrophoresis tests. Now, our immune system is basically a defense system in our body. They defend us against germs, against viruses, against bacteria, everything. Now, and there are different tissues in our system, in our defense system, and it's one of them called lymphoid. This lymphoid cell, the tissue has two different kind of major cells in it. One of them is T cell, which is T lymphocytes. The other one is B cells, which is B lymphocyte. Now, Waldenström macroglobulinemia is caused by B cells. Most of the time, it starts in B cells. So let's talk about what B cells and T cells does. Now, B cells, basically, when we get cold or when we get any kind of sickness, they turn themselves into a plasma cell, and that way they generate antibodies. These antibodies are like soldiers in the body. They attack against germs. They pretty much do what they can to defend the body. And T cells, basically, they are a little more different. They can't directly affect the germs themselves. They don't need to turn into plasma. And I'd like to talk with a couple of the symptoms before I go into the method and procedure. One of the most known symptom of this cancer is weakness by American Cancer Association. And another one is neuropathy, which is nerves in the body not working correctly. Also, loss in appetite, extreme sweating, weight loss, fever. These kind of things are some of the items that in the list of symptoms of this cancer. What causes this cancer? That's the question. 9 out of 10 cases, researchers done so far found out that MYD88, this is the part of our DNA that helps with signaling immune system. Between immune systems, it does a signaling work. It sends signals to different parts of the body. 9 out of 10 cases, researchers found problem in this part. Okay, now we have method and procedure. Actually, before we move on, this is not a very common cancer. It's just 1,500 people per year in the US, so it's very low, but there is not actually any cure for it. There's no cure. There's treatment, and if you look at 5-year survival rate, we see 70% of people are surviving for 5-year length at least, unless they're very old, then the ratio changes, but there's no cure for it yet. And this is the graph. If you guys see, the blue one is man. The orange one is the female. Between, these are every 5 years statistics. As you guys see, all the time, men tend to have it bigger chance. Men tend to have a bigger chance to have this cancer. Now, before I move on, actually, this is the antibody. And if you look at this cancerous antibody, once the patient, once the person has really this sickness, this is what it turns to. This regular antibody turns into this. So this is the cycle. This is the B cell, and this is the cancerous cell. All right. Okay. So we have two parts in the method and procedures. Part one is serum protein electrophoresis, which is basically when you guys see electrophoresis, it's just basically using electricity to separate and separate based on their quantity, based on their size, based on their length, based on their type, separating antibodies. Because we want to essentially know how much antibody in the body so we can figure out if there is this cancer. Now, first part of the procedures include serum protein electrophoresis, and the second part is immunoelectrophoresis. And there are actually different kind of immunoelectrophoresis. There's maybe 5-6 different kinds of immunoelectrophoresis. All of them does approaches to the diagnosis differently. But I focused on one of them, which is immunofixation electrophoresis. This is the one I focused on because this is the most used due to its giving sensitive results in quicker time. Now, immunofixation electrophoresis has two parts. The first part is done by using agarose gel. This specific gel has large vacuoles on it, large spaces, so it allows the protein to go through easier. And once the protein goes through this gel, we have electric mechanism that separates the protein by its type. What kind of immunoglobulin is this? What kind of antibody is this? Because we have different kinds of antibodies, IgM, IgD, IgE. We have 5 different kinds of antibodies. So we have IgA, IgG, IgM, IgE, and IgD. So we want to know how much of what we have. So it's like we went to the grocery store, we want to make salsa. But we have 10 tomatoes, but only 1 onion. How good of a salsa is going to be, you know? So we want to know what really we have in our body. So the first part does this through using the electrophoresis. Through the gel, separating the different antibodies through the gel. And the second part is the fixation. Fixation part usually, it focuses on precipitation. Now, when there is enough antigens and antibodies in the system, they precipitate. So once they precipitate, we know how much of what we have, and based on that, we can draw a conclusion. So if you look at here, this is the person that doesn't have the cancer. This person doesn't have the cancer, but this one does. And this is the first bar here is the serum protein electrophoresis. This is the first test I told you guys, the first part of the methods and procedures. And if you guys check this arrow, I don't know if you guys see, there is nothing here. It's blank. But here, it's black. So based on these results, we can say there is monoclonal immunoglobulin here, right here. And what that means is basically there is a Waldenström macroglobulinemia. This part is the immunofixation part, and this is the second part of the Macroglobulinemia procedure. This is the same thing actually. And if you look at this is one of the pictures that are taken of a person that has this cancer. Okay, the median age of people having this cancer is around 70 to 75. But that doesn't mean people are like us, like young people, that can't have it. There's still up to 5-6% of young people may have this sickness. This cancer, sometimes it comes genetically, but some other times it's caused by the DNA structure change. Change in the DNA structure is causing it. There are some things like age, race, gender, hepatitis C, heredity. So all of these are risk factors. So, for example, white people tend to have a high risk of having this sickness, this cancer, than African American people. And if you look at the age, people that are around 70 to 75 tend to have a higher percentage having this cancer than anybody else. And if you look at the gender, men, as we see in the graph, tend to have it up to 1/3 higher risk of having this cancer than female. So there are certain things that can really do against us on having this. So let me repeat my hypotheses before I go into conclusion. My hypothesis was Waldenström macroglobulinemia could be diagnosed by serum protein electrophoresis and immunofixation electrophoresis. Now I went through these two tests, and these two tests provided us the first graph is the first test, and these 5 lines in the second test. Each test has its own advantages. First test is used to find monoclonal immunoglobulin in the system. This exactly tells us if there is monoclonal immunoglobulin in the system. The second test tells us what kind of, because we have 5 different kinds. We want to know what kind of monoclonal immunoglobulin we have in the system. Now, based on the research, these 2 tests were successfully able to locate the cancer, and we can see here there is no line. So my hypothesis comes true. It was able to find out that whether there's a cancer or not. Thank you. Any questions?
Oh, yeah.
Nadia?
So you said they can diagnose it by testing the urine?
Yes, exactly.
They can diagnose this type of cancer by urine, right?
2 different ways, urine or blood. I read a lot of articles, I saw mostly urine, but they can do it through blood too.
So where does this cancer happen? In which part of the body?
This cancer is usually happen in, forgot the name exactly, it is some part of inside of bone. There's a yeah, bone marrow.
Bone marrow.
Yeah, that's where it happens. Bone marrow. red blood cells crowding out in the bone marrow.
As you said, it's a type of cancer, so radiation or chemotherapy helps in
Exactly. That's one of the ways of treatment ways. Yeah, chemotherapy plays a high part of the treatment process, but there are different ways. So I read an article from American Cancer Association. It really depends on the case, but the chemotherapy is one of the most used ways for treatment.
The second test that tells which kind you have, not the one that if you have none, but
Which
the
one?
second test.
This
like
one?
when you-
No,
yeah.
the right one.
I mean,
The second one
which one you
tells
have,
you
the-
how much of what you have in your pocket. Like,
does it matter? I mean, is it going to be different kind of treatment if it's different kind or?
exactly. Treatment is really, there are like 10 different treatment ways. I mean, chemotherapy is most used ones, but it really depends on what you got. Most of the time, people tend to have IgM, too much IgM in the blood, which is immunoglobulin M.
Why it was more in men's than women?
It is more in men.
Why all
Because-
disasters strictly on men?
I don't know. I really don't know. This is the statistics. I'm just making a guess of women can be transferred. Women can transfer, men can't. So if it's transferred to men have to have it, but woman can also transfer it. She doesn't have to have it because she's got 2 X and men got X.
And because it's related to, I mean, you said they can diagnose it by urine.
Yeah.
This disease can be related to urine, like urine system of body, or no?
No,
You can't.
it
Right?
doesn't have anything to do with the no. It just can be diagnosed by urine because antibodies goes through the body and then gets out. You know. So
Almost got it right.
Kind of.
Almost. Any more questions? We got it kind of moving. Okay.
Really?